All right, welcome back. Enough talk. I talk too much. Time to start doing something, right? So hands-on is where you really learn these things. And so we're going to start working with our size classes project, and we're going to start making some modifications to it. So go ahead and get your size classes open. Go into the any area, and we're going to start just by making a couple pretty simple modifications. The first thing we're going to do is, instead of saying hello world, I'm just going to say any. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to modify my constraints. One way to modify the constraints is to select the label, go to the ruler, and find your constraints. What I want to do is the width, instead of making it 300, I want to make it 200. And instead of saying it equals 200, I want to say that it's greater than or equal to 200. Height, similar game. I want to change it, instead of 300, 100. And instead of equals to, I want it to be greater than or equals to. So you can see that it kind of snaps down to that size. The next thing I want to do is I want a preview that shows all of the different combinations together. This is going to be a little hard depending on the screen real estate you've got. So I want to click on the editor assistant. And then I want to go to preview, and I want to preview the storyboard. And then what I want to do is I want to make the left hand as small as I can get it. And so right now, you can see that it's showing me the iPhone 4-inch. By the way, to zoom in and out, you have to double click, kind of like outside of anything, and it'll zoom in and out. So what I want to do is I want to put in all 4 class sizes. I'm actually going to put them in order of smallest to widest. So I'm going to add a 3.5 inch and put it in landscape. This represents compact. I'm going to add I chose 4.7 inches to put into portrait because I think that'll look very pretty. And I'm going to leave it in portrait, and this represents compact width, regular height. And then there's only one way to make regular width compact height, and that's the iPhone 6 Plus, which is the 5.5 inch. And then as your last option, stick on an iPad. And to be honest, I don't care if you use portrait or landscape because it's regular in both. So use whichever one you like. Heck, I'll use landscape. Doesn't matter. Right now, what you can see is that all of them use the same rules. They've got a 200 width, a 100 height. It does snap to that value because it's trying to hug the content. And it says that's plenty of space to make this thing fit. Now what I want to do is I want to, for the first time, make a constraint that only applies to a certain storyboard. So what I'm going to do is I want to make, anytime you have a regular width, make it 500. Anytime you have a regular height, make it 400. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into a special storyboard, make that change there, and it'll only apply to those size classes. So if I want regular height, any width, I actually want this bottom area here, and I'm going to add a rule that makes it 400. So I'm just going to switch to that storyboard. So as you hover, you can see it says regular height at the top there, any width. So I'm going to go into this area, and I'm going to add a constraint on my label. So I'm just going to click on this, add constraint, and I'm going to say that your height is 400. Great. And so it jumps to the bigger value. I could actually update it on my screen here. And then more importantly, I could see it on my little, all 4 storyboards. So the things that are regular height get this rule. Note there's no conflict here because I have one rule that says it's greater than 100 and another rule that says it equals 400. No conflict, both satisfied, work just fine. Then the other thing is, of course, we want the width for anybody that's regular width, which is going to be this storyboard over here, because it's going to apply to both regular widths. We want it to be 500. So let's go ahead and make that change as well. So I'm going to switch to this storyboard that affects regular width devices of any height. And what I'm going to do, and you'll notice that the size changed again, I'm going to go ahead and add a constraint to make the width be 500. And to be honest, you can, if you've got the screen real estate, you can leave your preview up as you go, and you can see that right away this one changed, and this one changed, and then the 2 compact widths didn't budge. So that's one thing you can do. You can actually put constraints on that apply to only certain class sizes. That's what we're trying to show. Just to share, the way that I did it is not the only way to do it. I'll just kind of briefly show you another way you could do it. I did it such that there was no conflict because I used this greater than on the any. You could have, if you wanted, you don't have to change it, but you can just watch. Instead of saying greater than, you could actually have said equal to, but set its priority less than 1,000. So if you set its priority to say 900 or just something less, I think in the notes I did 750, but here I'll do 900. Then that actually works out to do just the same thing. So I say equals 100, but it has a priority of not 1,000, only 900. And you can see that that does the exact same thing. So I just thought I'd tell you that there's more than one way to solve these problems. And it's kind of neat that they've got this priorities feature available at all, where a higher priority wins. So that's kind of cool. So this is one label that's affected by different constraints. You could also do things to where the actual view itself only exists on a certain size class. So what I want to do is I want to add a label. So right now I'm going to go to compact. I'm going to add a label, somewhere in the upper right. I'm going to go ahead and make that label say, like width compact, height compact, something like that. I'm going to add enough constraints to make it stay in its corner. So I did a command equals to let it hug its own width. And I just want it to stay in the upper left. That's great. And then I'm going to go to a different final value. So here I'm going to go to regular height, compact width. You'll notice that label's gone because it doesn't exist here. And I'm going to add a label to the bottom corner here that says width, compact, height, regular. And then I'll add enough constraints on him, so let him hug his content, and I'll add a constraint down here so that he stays in that spot. Go ahead and add your other two. I'll let you just kind of do it on your own. It's pretty easy, right? So you go to one, you add a label, you add the constraints. And then once you've got all four on there, go ahead and show the preview so that you can see if one label exists in each view. Another thing you probably picked up during this exercise, especially if you've got the outline up here, is that whenever you are in a certain storyboard, it shows you kind of like faded out things that exist on other storyboards, but not this storyboard. So like if you go to any, like none of those exist on any. They only exist on their final value storyboard. So go ahead and open up the preview, try to give it as much real estate as you can. And what you should be able to see is it's kind of small when I'm zoomed out. So, you could zoom in as well. You should see that compact has its label, compact regular, regular compact, and then regular all have their own label. It is important to note that these are 4 independent labels. That's important because as soon as you start connecting them to outlets, let's say, you connected this first one to an outlet, and then you connected the second one to the same outlet, that would break your connection to the first one, right? So there are 4 independent labels. It just so happens that each one exists in only one size class. That's completely different than any, which was one label that was changed in each view. So I'd like for you to do an exercise on your own. And so what I'm going to have you do, I should mention if you want to, you could run it and you can play with these things. It's actually kind of fun to run. I'm going to get a 6+ out here and run it on a 6+, and you can see that it'll pop up with a label at the appropriate time. So right now it says, wide, regular height, and then I rotate and it switches to say regular and compact height. And it didn't have to be the 6+. You could use any device. If I used an iPhone 4, I would see a change. So here's an iPhone 4, and you can see that as I rotate, it switches between, width, compact, regular height to compact. And I guess you could do the last one as well with an iPad. Zoom way out here, and so you can see that my iPad. Ooh, that's interesting. My iPad, I'm actually set up as an iPhone only app. Oops, that was a goof from a previous lecture. I want to go ahead and switch that back to universal, just so I am able to run on iPad like normal. But if you run it on iPad, so before you could see it was showing you the iPhone screen sizes, which was kind of neat. So iPad is regular width, regular height. and if you rotate it, still regular width, regular height. So that's kind of interesting. So now what I'd like for you to do is a little challenge. So the challenge that I'd like for you to take on is to try to add 2 labels. So any was one label that happened to exist everywhere. The second thing we did was 4 independent labels. This time I want you to add 2 labels. And I want you to add it to a storyboard such that the label that says WC will be orange. It'll be 44 by 44. And it will exist only on the compact widths. So you have to figure out what storyboard do I put it on such that that label exists in 2 places. And then make another label that says WR for regular width. Put it on the storyboard that will exist in 2 places. And then what I want you to do is I want you to modify the storyboards in the right places that give it constraints to make when it's compact height be on top. So you can see this is a compact height and it's on top. This is a compact height, it's on top. And then for regular heights to be on bottom. And so see if you can figure out where you want to put those constraints to make it all happen. As an added little challenge, I'll say try to make it 8 pixels like above. So this one's 8 pixels above and 8 pixels to the left of the any box. This one is 8 pixels below and 8 pixels to the right of the any box. And there's some little tricks for trying to make that happen. What I want you to do is I want you to do it on your own. And after you give it a shot, you can kind of see what I've done just to kind of give you a little hint. All right, I will go ahead and do it with you just to kind of give you a hint, but I would prefer you just do it all on your own. But I do want to make sure that you're successful in this task as well, right? So the first thing I'll do is if I want to add something that applies to any height, compact widths, that's this box, right? So this is compact width, any height. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my label for WC in this view. So it's going to exist in both places. We had some things that we wanted to do to it. So we wanted it to be 44 by 44. And I can actually do this in this view because it's the same. I wanted it to be orange. I could do that in any view. I'll just use the color picker, tangerine. That looks pretty much orange. And then what I want to do is I want to add the constraint that it's to the left of this box by 8. I'll just do that in this view as well. And so those things were the same. So I did them in a view that actually would apply to anything. And then what I want to do is I want to make the compact appear on top. The little trick I wanted to show you is you can actually just move it wherever you want. Add a rule. And so this picks the nearest neighbor of where it's currently at. And since I put it up there, it was easy to add a rule to the thing below. And then if I hit Command equals, you can see it snapped to the right spot. And if I show my previews now, you can see that so far compact is all set. This one's not done yet, and I haven't even started on those guys. So what I want to do is I want to go into the final values for regular height. I want to find that label. And what I want to do is I want to just I'm going to set it below this box, and I'll add the constraint for the top. And then I'll hit Option Command equals and make it snap into its spot. And you can see that the preview now has that one in the right spot. So go ahead and finish up the other label for the other side, and you should be all set on that. Assuming that you are taking this class for credit, the last thing you'll want to do is you're going to want to zip it up and submit it on Moodle after you get that last little challenge complete. I won't show it to you. It should be fairly straightforward for doing that. All right, that's what we've got for size classes. We've done a little preview app of what we can do with size classes. Come back next time and we'll start in on a real application, and it'll be pretty fun. All right, see you then.